whose feather is this? And I'm not talking about a Native American Indian. I'm talking about a bird. And I can also tell you, it is not Wendy. It is not Wendy, the Patrick's chicken. Okay, let's get going. Who is new? Yeah. There is actually something about the timing of our call to include more better communities, which I would like to discuss in the Q&A, because these new communities, they would like to join, but they can't somehow time-wise. So we have boarded C-Space Berlin. It's a co-working space in former Eastern Berlin, founded by friends of ours who also spent 15 years in Shanghai. You see the Chinese kind of arty main meeting room. And it's, it's kind of a hub in Berlin for the Chinese German community. Their intention is ideas and encounters across borders. So we're looking forward to really have things happening there, and an active ARK community. And the second place that boarded was Agora Shanghai. It's also where our office is. Some of you know it definitely. So it's a European Chinese run co-working space with a focus on coding and sustainable living. Yeah, you know, sour bread workshops, decomposing, biological waste, all those are topics there in the community. Okay, so those are the two new communities on the ARK, and we now jump into this introduction to today's new functionalities. So this slide, I think most of you have already seen. It's the 7 ARK concepts that guide the development of the ARK. And today I'm going to talk about the library concept. Second last, the library concept. Okay. So if you recall how the ARK is set up, then you remember also this slide. We have communities interacting on the ARK with learners. The learners have a learning need on sustainable development. The communities offer content and satisfy this learning need. And the content, which you see here on the bottom, the content is split into 2 parts. We have an event platform, which is always hosted in a community now. So a community can publish events. And if you think after a few times that this event is working nicely, that you get good feedback from the learners, then you can create out of this event a best practice, and you move it into a global commons library, a best practice library, which functions very similar to Wikipedia, but has, let's call it, a more advanced structure. So it's really a structure that enables best practices. And from this library, you can then again download best practices into your own community. And today we will learn about the library 2.0. So why is this necessary? And that's why I said it's a bit technical. If you look at the data and information that is created these days, then you will find such statistics. So between 2010 and 2025, we have an exponential increase of data. All this data is stored on clouds, it's copied, it's captured, it's consumed worldwide. And I didn't even know that there is such a unit. It's now called zettabytes, okay? So I even included for you here this table. So we start with 1, it's 10 times 0, then you have 10, deca, 100, hecto, 1,000, kilo, million, mega, billion, giga, trillion, tera, quadrillion, peta, quintillion exa, and zeta is sextillion. It's 10, how do you call this? James, you are the Native American.
To the power of.
Exactly, thank you. To the power of 21. That's so many zeros that my mind is kind of, exploding. So thinking about this, we have an issue because there's so much information. And since years, there's this talk about the information flood. It's another flood. It's not a flood caused by water. It's a flood caused by too much information. And we don't know anymore what we should actually take in, because our human brain can take in actually only a little bit of information. And some people call this the digital deluge, the digital deluge. It's a flood of digital information. And with the ARK, we want to set up a library that actually brings to people the information they really need and they can deal with. So when we look at the libraries of the 21st century, then you have this very nice visualization, and I put beneath the different steps different libraries. Now, Baidu and Google, they aggregate data. Wikipedia has a lot of information. The Khan Academy is a good example for knowledge used by a lot of pupils around the world. Then TED probably is already insights. Now, there are a lot of good books explained in a few minutes, and TED is also a library. The question is, where do we go from there? Where do we store and how do we retrieve what is actually creating wisdom? So the next stage of information. And this was definitely a guiding concept for the ARK. And the reason why we need this new library is also based in how we transform as an ecosystem and as a human society. In the past, we were organized in communities. Now we're organized in very big anonymous societies. In the past, we dealt with a local ecosystem, which also was called the commons, in which a community lived. Today, we have a global ecosystem, the planet. In the past, all those local communities had a body of knowledge, which was called the ancient lore. Lore is a term that many people don't understand anymore, but it's plant knowledge, it's medical knowledge, it's knowledge which insects you can eat, which you should not better touch, and so on and so forth. So this was a very local body of knowledge. And nowadays, well, this is the aspiration that we have with the ARK. We have a global body of knowledge that can be also broken down in small parts so that it is accessible to individuals and communities. And this shall create impact, because wisdom alone is not anymore enough. So that was the intro, and now we look into how this concept has been transformed into functionalities on the ARK. Lucas, your turn.
All right. So we've got a bunch of things today to show, and so let me share my screen and let's start from the home page. Sorry, number 2. You should be seeing the ARK landing page right now. So as we are including more and more people from more and more places around the world, we are also trying to make the platform accessible in your local native language. So for this month, we have added from the last month French and Spanish. So from now on, the ARK should be more accessible for people in bioregions which are speaking these languages. So I would like to send a big thanks to all our translators so far, volunteers So this is helping a lot to make the ARK more accessible for people who are not native speakers. So let's have a look at the stats. We've got almost 1,500 people in 29 communities and have assigned 72,654 impact points. The impact is growing. And there's a new thing on the landing page, which makes it easier to navigate. And that is top menu. Now all the pages on the top of the website that is accompanying the ARK have a top menu in which you can see the blog, go to the forum, and access the login page. So that's about the website. Go and check it out. There's more and more information about how to contribute, how to become developer, see some manual videos, subscribe to the newsletter, and join our communication groups, see the team, and read the white paper. We are making the information about the ARK more and more public and better accessible for everyone to get to know about the project. All right, so now step number 2 that I wanted to show to you today. So you might have run into the library on the platform if you have been looking around, and it's one of the first functionalities that we have created in the beginning of the ARK, and it went live around a year ago, and we have populated it with some best practices that we have been running here in GreenStep Shanghai, and we have collected a lot of feedback on how to improve it. So what we are watching right now is still the old version. This is the old library in the old format of it. And I'm gonna now show you, switch to the new version, which is in here. So you can see there's the content has not been migrated yet. This is running on my computer right now, but let's see what has changed. So the best practices are not presented anymore in the long format, but they are presented with this card where you can see all basic information like the name, the length or the duration of the activity that this best practice is about, the age range, the name of the designer, and the name of the community that that this best practice has been designed in. You can also see the 3 most common learning paths that this event, that this best practice is about. So you can click it and immediately see what this is about. Okay, so let's see what's inside. And you can see that this practice is about an activity called Plastic Pirates. Let's scroll down. There is an overview which talks about, which is kind of a teaser for the best practice to describe generally what it is about, and a learning aim, which should quickly at glance show you information about what is there to be learned in the activity that this best practice is covering. And then the impact that the impact points that are assigned to this activity, which means there it's going to be focusing 50% on outdoor skills. There are 15 impact points on outdoor skills and 50% on ecosystems and environmental impact. You can see badges if there are some assigned to it, and we want to give credit to whoever has been sharing their knowledge with the community. The designer and the community has been designed, and the bioregion it has been designed in. Let's have a look at the more information that is contained in the best practice. So besides the overview, there's a schedule. There are 2 kinds of scheduling there. One is for the facilitator, which is basically talking about or describing in detail the steps that the facilitator should be taking in the activity. This is for the facilitator to know exactly what to prepare. And this is not shared with the participants. And then there is a schedule which is then directly visible to the participants of the activity. It is a little bit confusing right now. Wait a bit, I'm going to go through all the cards and then tell you a secret. So then there is a card pedagogy, which is kind of meta information for the facilitator that helps him to facilitate this activity better. So he can learn direct learning objectives, indirect learning objectives. We're going to speak about this in a minute. And points of interest and vocabulary that participants can learn in here. And last but not least, facilitation equipment, things that the facilitator needs, what the participants need, and some extra information how to make the activity better. So I'm a bit. So how this works is that the library of best practices is works like a template for activities. So basically, while you create your events, you are running your events for a while, and after you decide, okay, now this is something to be shared with others, you create a best practice in the ARK library, and people who view it in the library, if they want to organize it, they click the button of create activity, and the best practice becomes immediately an event. So I will here now create an activity out of this best practice called Plastic Pirates. And I am directly in the Plastic Pirates event editor, where I can select this time who will be the facilitator. So I will be facilitating it. And this is now the standard form of creating an event that you guys probably already know. So you select when the event gonna start. I'm gonna add some random data in here, and in where. Description is coming directly from the library. H-range is coming directly from the library, so it pre-fills for you all the information that you would otherwise have to enter by hand. The learning paths and impact points are also pre-filled, and the timetable, the schedule for the participants is also pre-filled. You will most probably need to edit it because your event will not be starting at 9 a.m. but 3 p.m. or whatever. This is just for reference as you are creating the event. And standard event form, additional information, things that the participants should be bringing, creating tickets. I will create a route ticket for €1. I will let people pay in cash and send you refunds. And I will ask them, if you get negative COVID test, and it's a required. All right. So then I end up in the dashboard of the event, and now I can view the public page of the event, and I can share it with my participants. This is a feature that we've been working on for a while. I have to admit I didn't probably describe it to you in the best possible way. So just to recap, I started in the library. I went to the library. I found out a best practice that somebody else has shared. I went to read the best practice. I went to see what it is about, and I liked it. I decided that I want to organize an event just like that. Then I clicked the create activity from the best practice button, and I created an activity in my community. So this is a way in which communities like you are running can share knowledge of how to organize and facilitate activities between each other. Yeah, so let's maybe stop it here and do some Q&A. I have some more information about what are all these technical terms in here, like direct learning and indirect learning objectives, because we are only showing them now in the form as you are creating the event. So in case you are interested, we can also quickly explain these. Yeah, so let's start a Q&A about the library functionality. Any questions on your mind?
I want to ask a question. When you were making the
All right.
presentation, you made mention of you liking the best practice, but you didn't show us any, like, how do I like it if, let's say, I like the best practice? And also, you didn't show us how to create a best practice library from using the ARK.
So how to make sure that you like it?
Yeah.
So for
because you made mention of that. So because you made mention of that. That if you like it and you want to create an event from that. So in case, let's say I like it and I want to create an event from it, but then there's no feature there that shows that, okay, you can like this best practice. That is why I'm asking that.
I see, like a bookmark or something like that, right? Yeah, it's not there. It's not there yet. It's going to be there in the future. Knut, you wanted to speak about this? To say something?
Okay, so Kali, does this answer your question? Bookmarking things? Is this what you were kind of expecting?
Yeah, but the reason why I actually asked that was that when he was making the presentation, he made mention of, let's say, in case someone comes up with a best practice and you like it, and you want to create an event out of it. So that is why I thought of asking that question. If, let's say, can there be a feature where you can bookmark a best practice or like it?
Yeah. So maybe I will take on this, that the features that are still missing in here are filtering by learning paths. So basically, you would go to the library and you would select which learning paths you are interested in, which age ranges are you interested in, filter the content of the library, and then of course you need to go and see what's in there, and if you like it, then bookmark it. Yep. And then you can create an event out of it.
Yeah. So we are in this group sharing really the newest kind of functionalities. There are still a couple of features missing to make it, really effective. Like, for example, bookmarking. I like this, or having a favorites list. No.
Indeed.
I also have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a cloning functionality? So if you have an entry that you can copy or clone it to have a template for the next one you want to do?
For the event?
Now, if you make a library entry and you want to clone it to make a new one, instead of starting from scratch, that you already have like the template from the one you clone.
But why would you like to have a template, or why do you want to clone a best practice? We have this feature in the event platform where it is obvious that you need it, but a best practice, why would you want to clone that?
Because if you have a certain structure For example, if it's about, you know, how to organize the farmer market, maybe it also helps if you have a certain structure to how to organize zero waste exchange meeting or something.
Yeah, we haven't been thinking about that because best practices should be something pretty unique, you know. We really think of it like an original idea. You can think of it even like, you know, applying for a patent somewhere in the world requires an original idea. So, and then you have people taking this idea and developing it further on in their events. So we haven't been thinking about that yet. And I think, yeah, probably a little bit counterproductive if you can clone best practices as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's more important for the events and the courses than it is for the actual library. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, indeed. And there we have this function.
So maybe also for the discussion a bit more, because Khalid already asked about how do I know that I like it. So there's the shortlist function, but what we also already discussed, what is quite pending and urgent functionality is the rating. So I know before I like it myself, I might like to know if others like it. So this is something that we have in our pipeline, that we develop a rating function. So you will see through the search that maybe I'm looking for a 3-hour-long event for children aged 3 to 6, or let's say for adults 18 plus. I want to do something in this and that learning path. And then you will have already a short list, most liked best practices. So you would also be seeing if somebody else likes the activity.
Yeah, maybe to add more on what functionalities there should be very soon is the search, the bookmarking. These are things that we will be working on, and also the way to do it the other way around, which means the button in your event that will help you to create the best practice out of the structure that you have in the event. So maybe you have been organizing the same kind of event, you've been cloning it many times, and you have refined the structure of it. And in this case, you don't need to copy paste it into the library, but you will be able to create the best practice directly out of the event. And it can also be used as an internal community tool. Of course, we suggest to people to share publicly with everyone, but there is also possibility to make a non-public, so private library best practice, and then use it only with your community or with people that you share it with, maybe for some kind of internal training presentation.
So Lucas, if I understand right, then once you've created an event, there will be an added functionality that will allow you to shift that or to select that as something to go into the best practices library. Yes, you have the event, then you click with a click of one button, you can make that an item in the best practices library.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the idea. So there's the concept of upload into the commons, right? So it's a kind of a commons library that we are all sharing together. So you can upload in there from your community events, and then as you like some best practice from another community, you download it as an event into your community.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to take a step back why we have conceived this setup. Okay, so the event platform, in an event platform, you have a content that can be created very easily. And it's also most of the entries in the form are actually free text. You basically write what you want. In order to make a best practice out of this, yes, there will be a button, create best practice out of it, but we want to have some higher standards for best practice, no? And these standards are now embedded in the form, and they really come from classic pedagogical terminology. So we ask, what is the learning aim? What is the learning objective? What are the points of interest? All these terminology is defined in pedagogy. So whoever creates a best practice needs to make the effort to really think about this, because you want others also to facilitate it, no? And it's not just an event that you do in your own community. You create the best practice. And for this, we need to have a sort of a global standard. It's not too much, but I mean, there are 5, 6 points that need to be thought through and then explained, and then you convert it in the best practice. Yeah, that's the principle.
Okay, got it.
All right. So any more questions on the library? If not, I have actually one more function that I wanted to show to you, which is more techy, and that is you are using it as an event platform.
Lucas, can I just interject one thing? Because I wanted to ask actually a question. So the principle of the best practice library in the global commons relates to meritocracy. Meritocracy means that those who contribute to a general well-being are also rewarded with something. And in terms of the ARK, it means that we get credits. No, we get the credit that we have designed something. So for all among us who design events, I think James is doing activities, Ellen, you do activities, Gloria, you do activities, Patrick is doing a Zen meditation workshop. Would this be an incentive to you if you share your best practice with a global community and they can download it? And whenever somebody else uses your best practice, there will be actually on the best practice, on the event, there will be visible that you have designed it. Is this for you an incentive? How do you feel about that?
For me, it's an incentive as far as you create more impact. If somebody's interested in your event and they use it, then that increases the impact that you may have. So from that point of view.
I think it goes both ways. Just to, this guy is out there.
Who's speaking?
Look what's where you are, and see that, if you set up an event somewhere,
Can you copy, James?
elsewhere.
What should I do with James?
Other events are just.
I can't hear this.
I
will make that out.
I think it's a network problem with James.
Yeah, I think it's great. Just it's a great external validation to know that other people are looking for or looking at the same issues and you are.
Okay, James has a very bad internet.
Did everything go through all right?
Sorry, James, it doesn't really work. Can't hear anything.
Thank you. I'm right.
Okay. Well, we will see how it turns out anyway. No? Sorry for interrupting, Lucas. Maybe you want to proceed.
Does this sound better?
No.
Not really. It's really like a robot.
Does this
Sounding
sound
very bad.
better?
It sounds a little bit better now. Yes. But anyway, let's keep it for later. Then I will finish with the last feature that I wanted to show today. All right, which was booking. So here in Shanghai, the ARK is used extensively by the Green Steps Shanghai team. And one thing that they are dealing with pretty often is that they have a booking and people cannot come, but they want to go another time. They want to move the booking into another event. So just very quickly, this might be a handy feature for you if you are considering to organize events. On the event, if you have a participant in there, you go to the dashboard, you can see all the bookings inside of that event. And if this person, so me, wants to move into another event instead of canceling, you click move, you choose the activity that you want to move the booking into. So I'm going to choose the 4M event. Then you select the tickets in the target activity with which this booking will be, with which the tickets in this booking will be replaced with, because each event has its own tickets, and in order to keep your sales information under control, you need to make sure that you select the tickets from the target event. So here are the tickets in the 4M event. And next, summary, the booking before moving was in Baltic Pirates, and it had a full ticket for 40 RMB. And after moving, it's going to be in the event of 4M, and there's going to be a child ticket for 10 RMB. Move booking, and fine. Booking has been moved successfully. So tiny little feature that I wanted to share with you. Because it can make your life as an organizer easier. So these are tiny tools that we are coming up with, besides all the big things like the library. Okay, that's it from my side, from showing the new features. And I'm going to give back the hosting either to Richard or to Knut, who's continuing with the presentation.
No more presentation unless you want to have the answer to today's riddle or today's question. I think, Richard, you can take the slides.
Okay. So thank you so much for presenting, Lucas. It was an amazing one, and insightful and informative, especially to help in solving the issue with the Green Steps China. Yeah, are there any questions, further questions that anyone has on the presentation that Lucas gave?
No.
Hello?
No.
No, okay.
No.
On the slide before, there was the functionality landing page header. Have we discussed that?
Yes, the functionality, like the landing page header was the first one that Lucas showed, where he showed there was a small header with the home, languages, the blog.
Sorry, I somehow misunderstood that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and yeah. So, are there any more questions, Tom? Okay. Cool.
No.
Cool. Okay, so I think most of you are acquainted with this slide for the ARK beta phase. And we finally moved on. Sorry.
Richard, if I can interject here, not all of you are actually in this group, so please copy or we share it afterwards. We have this better community Telegram group. So if you're not in there, please join